Welcome to 2024 with Stab the Dragon Productions, episode number 148, maybe 149, somewhere in there. But whiskey comparison number 9, as tonight we finish up our Evan Williams series with Evan Williams Bottled in Bond versus Evan Williams Black Label. Previously, the 1783 bottle and the single barrel both lost out to the Black Label. And then the single barrel lost out to the Bottled in Bond as well. By that time I was finished with 1783 and I did not want to buy another bottle of it. So they didn't go against the Bottled in Bond. But remarkably, the single barrel lost to the Black Label and the White Label. There you go. So tonight we're going to determine my favorite Evan Williams whiskey. And Evan Williams, I've probably consumed more of their product than any other single whiskey company, I think. Because I've been through several bottles of the Bottled in Bond and the Black Label and a couple of bottles of the 1783. And now I'm almost done with the single barrel. So just for the record, Evan Williams Black is 86 proof. Total wine here in Fort Worth, $12.99. Specs, $14.71. Goody, $12.99. Evan Williams Bottled in Bond, 100 proof, of course. It is a minimum of 4 years. Total Wine has it for $15.99. Goody, $18.99. Specs, $17.86. And I will say that those prices reflect some inflation. It was just a couple of years ago you could get this for a few dollars less. Evan Williams is bottled in Bardstown, Kentucky, but distilled by Heaven Hill. And by some accounts, Evan Williams is the second largest selling bourbon behind Jim Beam. Of course, that's if you don't count Jack Daniels as a bourbon. You know, if you're going to count it as a Tennessee whiskey, which I tend to do, Tennessee whiskeys are bourbons that have something extra to them or something extra done to them, the Lincoln County process. So, you know, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to say, well, let's count Jack Daniels as a bourbon, well, then Evan Williams would be number 3. But when I say by some accounts, I mean the scoring for whiskeys as far as which is the most popular, best-selling, etc., that fluctuates a little bit every year. So, you know, just the sources that I checked are within the last 2 or 3 years. Say Evan Williams is number 2. The brand was introduced in 1957, despite their heritage claim that goes back to 1783. And we do know that Evan Williams had the first commercial distillery on the Ohio River from about 1783, somewhere in there. Whether it was actually that year or not, I don't know. Of course, the Elijah Craig people are going to, you know, argue with you there about who was first where. But Evan Williams immigrated to the U.S. from Wales. He was a Welshman and started that first distillery in Kentucky, as the story goes. But this, you know, again, it's not proven. So, but I like whiskey lore, even if it may not be 100% provable. I like the stories. So, on to the test. The Black Label is in glass 1. It's numbered on the bottom of my glasses. And the White Label's in glass 2. They have been mixed up thoroughly, so I don't know which is which. I'm going to examine them for appearance, nose, and taste and see if I can tell which is which, and then determine which is my favorite, because that's what this competition is all about. So let's compare these in the glass. And I'm going to say the one in my right hand is half a shade lighter than the one in my left hand. So I'm thinking this is Black Label, number 1. This is White Label, number 2, just off of appearance. But it's close. Yeah, it's definitely close, but I think it's half a shade difference. So that being the case, I will start by sniffing the one in my right hand because that would be the weaker one. And it's got that whiskey smell, which I don't necessarily like. It's kind of sickeningly sweet. My nose is just awful. I can't smell much with my nose, especially with bourbons. The fact that I could smell something at all, though, that's impressive. Now the one on my left. And actually nosing goes to the one on the right. So it's a little bit, it's a half a shade lighter, but it's got more of a nose. That's odd. Okay. So I'm going to switch these around because I've got the bottles there. So, all right. I'm going to go for the all-important taste. And that's why I like Evan Williams. It's like liquid Cracker Jacks. I get the caramel corn, the peanuts, and there's something minty on the end, on the finish there. Now it's not going to be super complex, but it is definitely pleasant. I mean, that's an all-day sipper right there. Absolutely. Going off of the mouthfeel, it's not overly thick or viscous. It's not thin, but it's leaning towards thin. I'm going to say that's definitely the 86 Evan Williams. Should be a number one there on the bottom. Should have been number one. Now let's go. Well, let me cleanse my palate just a little bit here. Yeah, the Evan Williams number one. I mean, that's why it's one of my favorites. I mean, that's easy sipping, liquid Cracker Jacks, definitely all day long. But there's just not much burn there. Okay, I can tell it's a little lower proof, and I tend to like the burn, so that's actually pretty smooth. But it's 86. So let's move on to what I think is number two, glass number two, Bottled in Bond. Again, I'm not getting as much on the nose as I was the first time. Here we go. That's definitely the 100 proof. So it's got a nicer mouthfeel for sure. A little bit of a burn. But it really, for 100 proof, it's a pretty tame burn. Okay, that's not gonna scare off anybody, I wouldn't think. The flavors, it comes across really as a little bit less sweet, a little bit more woody, I think, and just not as sweet. Not, I'm getting the liquid Cracker Jacks on the finish, but not during the mid palate like I did with the Black Label. So, boy, this is going to be hard to pick a winner, because here I'm liking the proof. And the mouthfeel. I'm liking the wood, but I'm missing the Cracker Jacks. So these are going to be two very different drinks. I mean, I can sort of tell they're related, but wow, there's significant difference here. Heavy on the wood, not as much Cracker Jack. I'll have to go back and try that first one again. Now, I really like a lot of wood influence on my whiskeys. That's why I love Texas whiskeys, and these aren't Texas whiskeys. Texas whiskeys have got that barrel char, that smokiness, that Texas funk that I love. This didn't have the char, but I could tell a heavier wood emphasis on that bottled and bond. And that's still present in the black label, but the black label's sweeter. I definitely get the Cracker Jacks going. So this is going to be, you know, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I mean, there's a lot of difference here. Enough difference to where I like each one for what it is. So going strictly off of flavor, I'm not going to be able to choose between the two. But I think the effects of the proof, the burn, is noticeable in the bottle and bond, and so you're getting 100 proof whiskey for a very good price. Man, but for an all-day sipper, you know, this will be ridiculous, but I'm going to say my favorite Evan Williams is the Black Label right here. And now I'm assuming there's a number 1 on the bottom of this, and there is, which you knew that, you could see it. But wow, I'm going with the 86 proof as my favorite Evan Williams. I really went into this thinking, oh, well, bottled and bond is going to win it hands down. But they're different, and different enough. Yeah, but just which would I go to 6 out of 10 times? I'm going to say the black. And that's probably why this is like my 3rd or 4th bottle of Evan Williams Black. Evan Williams White's 2nd or 3rd bottle. You know, I don't really keep tabs on all that, but that's my estimate. So here we go. I think we have a winner. And I'm going to say my favorite Evan Williams is Black Label, the basic edition. Now, I certainly hope they don't do what old granddad did, drop their basic edition down to 80 proof. That'd be a disaster. So please, Evan Williams, don't do that. All right, well, this is Stab the Dragon. I'm signing out with a surprise winner out here.